I think in some ways it is easier to write a play that is so personal, and in other ways it's more difficult. It's and one of the things that I learned when I wrote the memoir, Just Outside the Spotlight, again, because it's a memoir, it's a deeply personal story. There would be times that my husband would get up and I'd be sitting at the computer sobbing, going, nobody's going to give a damn about this. And it's such a personal story. And one of the things I realized, and as the head of playwriting at Cal State Fullerton, this is something I tell to my students, the more personal you make a story, the more universal it becomes. Because when the book came out, and I thought, oh, well, this is such a personal story, it's going to sell about 3 copies. I got letters from people all over the world saying, your relationship with your mother was just like my relationship with my Uncle George or my father-in-law or whatever it was. So, uh, again, because personal emotions are universal. And one of the things I explore in Marilyn Mom and Me is that whole sense of these two women, Eileen Heckart and Marilyn Monroe, who on the surface were so totally different. I mean, Marilyn was so fragile and vulnerable, and my mother had the appearance, at least, of being very much a hard-boiled, flinty, tough cookie. But ultimately, they both wanted to be loved. They both wanted to be accepted. And at the time, as I mentioned, Marilyn was one of the biggest stars in the world, and yet she wanted what my mother had. She wanted a stable marriage, she wanted kids, and she wanted to be taken seriously as a legitimate actress. And the year before they shot Bus Stop, my mother had won the Golden Globe and had been nominated for an Academy Award for a film called The Bad Seed, which she had also done on Broadway, where she's playing an alcoholic woman whose son has been murdered. And she only has 8 minutes in the entire film, and it's absolutely gut-wrenching. I mean, and Marilyn strove to be that kind of actress. And I think it's sort of ironic in retrospect that many people do consider Bus Stop one of her best performances, if not her very best performance. And there is an even deeper level of vulnerability in her performance. And she has so many scenes with my mother that I kind of like to think that maybe the chemistry between Marilyn and my mother somehow contributed to that. And another thing I'd like to share about this particular project is, needless to say, there are thousands of things written about Marilyn Monroe. And so people often ask, well, Luke, what are you contributing that is new? Well, there is very little that is written about Marilyn's relationship with another woman. There is so much written about her relationships with JFK and Arthur Miller and her acting teachers, who were female, by the way, and on and on and on. But there really isn't anything else out there, to my knowledge, about another woman who was a contemporary and someone with whom she really bonded on such a deep level, even though it was for a short period of time, as often happens in show business. But it was a connection that really changed my mother's life. And as I explore in the play, ultimately it changed mine as well and helped me to understand my mother on a deeper level. What I want the audience to get out of this play, boy, there's a great deal. That's a challenging question. But basically, I want them to see another side of Marilyn because it also shows Marilyn not in any way as a victim. It shows her as a shrewd businesswoman, a brilliant actress, and someone who really understood the camera and her own image in an extraordinary way. I want them to get out of the play the sense of this very complex mother-son relationship. And ultimately, it is, I mean, while I paint Marilyn and Luke and Eileen kind of warts and all, it is by no means an expose. It is by no means a negative story in that sense. It's ultimately a son coming to peace with his mother who's passed away. And while he might not have agreed with some of her choices in parenting at the time, ultimately he learns to see where they were coming from, the good intentions behind them, and he's able to forgive his mother on a deeper level because ultimately forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. What I think would surprise an audience member watching this play is really the things one learns about Marilyn Monroe. Because at this stage of the game, people tend to think, what new information could there possibly be about Marilyn Monroe? But I think people, as I said before, they see a side of Marilyn they haven't seen before. They see the side of her that wanted to be a wonderful mother, the side of her that was such a good businesswoman. And because Marilyn didn't have many female friends, because a lot of women were threatened by her because of the blatant sexuality and because of just how men were just so smitten with her. So to see her relationship with another woman who was an equal and who was a peer in many ways, uh, it really gives a unique perspective on her that I think people will appreciate. I think people should come and see Marilyn Mom and Me because they will be surprised. Not only will they learn things about Marilyn that they maybe thought they knew but didn't, they will see things about this mother-son relationship with a legendary Broadway actress. They will they will come away fulfilled. They will come away moved. There are many very funny moments in the play as well. And it is a real heartfelt Valentine to the world of movie making, to the theater, to actresses, and to mothers and sons all over the world. I think it will be a very riching and rewarding experience for everyone involved. My name is Luke Yankee. Yes, it's my real name. I am a playwright, a director, an actor, a producer, and a theater professor. And I am very excited to talk to you today about my play, Marilyn, Mom, and Me, about my mother, the Oscar-winning actress Eileen Heckart, and her intense friendship with Marilyn Monroe during the shooting of Bus Stop. You can find out more about the play on my website, marilynmomandme.com. That's and all spelled out, or through my other website where I talk about my other projects and my other books, which is lukeyankee.com. That's LUKEYANKEE.com, just the way it sounds. I'll see you at the theater.